Going for a job interview. As part of the job topic, you will need to be prepared to answer interview questions. So we've narrowed down to 3 questions. What are your strengths and qualities? What are your future plans and projects? And what do you find the most important thing in a job? So you will need to try and remember what you did back in Key Stage 3 when you were looking at personality adjectives to try and sell yourself to your best ability. This is also a fantastic chance to try and use the future tense, which I believe is the easiest of all tenses. And finally, you need to try and be able to show an understanding of the job and describe what matters the most to you. So by the end of the lesson, here are the objectives you need to be aiming towards. Use the context of the world of work to create sentences that include opinions, justifications, and future tenses. Talking about yourself is the first element we are going to be looking at. A reminder that adjectives are elements that are needed really in every single topic of the GCSE course, very transferable knowledge. Therefore, you will need to have a really solid, sound knowledge of a wide range of adjectives. Go back to your books from previous years and remember, please, the gender agreements. If you are a girl or talking about a girl, make sure you spell it with the correct ending. And same if you're a boy or talking about a boy, opt for the masculine version of the word. Some adjectives are the same in both feminine and masculine, and this is something you need to be aware of. For example, the word timide, shy, ends in E, therefore you will not need to add an additional E to make it feminine. Let's start. Parlez-moi de vous. Talk about yourself. So of course you will use the verb to be, and je suis, I am, is probably the way you would begin most sentences. Je suis sociable, sociable, sportif, for boy, or sportive, for girl, for sporty, actif, or active, active, dynamique, make sure you pronounce this word correctly, and check your ending here, ending in QUE. Ambitieux, or ambitieuse for ambitious. Flexible, again quite a cognate here, but the pronunciation of the word differs dramatically in French. Flexible. And finally, gentil, which you will know many synonyms for. The word sympa is one of them. Remember, the masculine is IL ending, but to make it feminine, you would need to double the L and add E. It's really important to be able to talk about yourself, but in order to add detail to your work, sometimes it is useful to compare yourself to others and therefore include a bit more contrast and refer to the he or she form. So for yourself, you'd be saying je suis, but if you wanted to talk about someone else you know, you would say il est or elle est. A reminder about this as well. Now, those sentences would be very basic, so it would be really important to add the usual elements to your work that will make a real difference, such as connectives, words like et, aussi, de plus, but also here mentioned in the extension, add qualifiers. Those words make a real difference to your sentence, and here one has been provided as an example, vraiment, meaning really, but you might also recall a few others. Un peu, a little. Très, very. Trop, too much. Assez, quite. Pause the PowerPoint and try and create a little paragraph about yourself. Moving on. Parlez-moi de vos loisirs et de vos intérêts. Again, even though we're talking about the work topic, this is a brilliant opportunity to use content from different topics, such as when you were talking about yourself in the topic called identity and culture, you revised a lot about your free time hobbies, weekend activities, and all this here you can use again. So 3 structures here to get you going. J'aime, but you know many more opinions than just j'aime. And you could also use things that you don't like for je n'aime pas, or use more complex opinions such as à mon avis, je crois que, je trouve que. The 2 in blue are probably used less frequently by students, but they're very good, particularly in the context of a job interview. Je suis intéressé par, for example, je suis intéressé par la lecture, I am interested in reading. Or je m'intéresse à l'informatique, I am interested in IT. Obviously, you would need to change à to au, for example, if you were going to change it to something masculine. Je m'intéresse au cinéma, for example. Or to à la for something feminine, for example, je m'intéresse à la lecture, I'm interested in reading. Okay, again, pause the slide and try and put a few ideas down. What would you say if you were asked to talk about your hobbies and interests? Expressing future plans, intentions and hopes. This seems like the perfect topic to remind each other of what structures you can use to talk in the future tense or refer to future intentions. So in the blue box here on the left, you've got loads of examples, the top two meaning exactly the same. Je voudrais or j'aimerais, both meaning I would like. Then j'ai l'intention de, I intend to. J'espère, I hope to. And the last one is a conditional. You can see it here with all of the infinitive still being in place and with the conditional ending being added to it, AIS. So, je préférerais, I would prefer. Now, the good thing about using all of those structures is they're always going to be followed by another verb in the full infinitive, which is the form of the verb in its basic form, the spelling of which you will find, as soon as you pick up a dictionary without any changes needed. So here we've got a few ideas to complete sentences. Devenir, to become, and then you would go straight in with the job of your choice. So where in English you would say, I would like to become a teacher, a reminder that in French actually you would just say, I would like to become teacher, which makes no sense in English, but this is one of the differences in sentence structure whenever you talk about work. So in French, je voudrais devenir professeur. Or, j'aimerais faire des études de médecine. I would like to study medicine. Or, j'ai l'intention de voyager autour du monde. I intend to travel around the world. Or, j'espère travailler dans un bureau. I would like to work in an office. Or, je préférerais travailler pour une association caritative. I would prefer to work for a charity. J'espère aider les gens. I hope to help people. You will recognize aider from first aid, maybe, to help. And finally, gagner can mean two things. It can mean to win, as in to win a game, or to earn. In this sense, it will mean to earn. So, for example, in a full sentence, je voudrais gagner beaucoup d'argent. I would like to earn lots of money. Again, this is a chance for you to get some ideas from the slide and come up with your own little paragraph maybe on what your hopes or intentions are for the future. A nice idea for an extension, if you're ready to take up a challenge, is make the sentence start as negative. A reminder, the negative in French comes in two parts, the most basic one being not, ne pas, and the ne and the pas are always separated by the verb. So in a sentence, for example, if instead you wanted to say, I would not like to become a teacher, then you would say, je ne voudrais pas devenir professeur. I hope this has helped. Now take a few minutes to write down some of your ideas. Moving on. Extension opportunity. Again, can you also talk about someone else's plans? It is very important, whatever the topic, that you can show ability to talk about yourself, but then you will be able to access higher grades if you can also show the ability to switch from I to he, or I to she, or even we. So make sure you would be able to switch. If you are switching, then may I just draw your attention to the verb endings, and particularly the verb endings here that end in AIS. If you are switching to he or she, il or elle, then AIS needs to change to AIT. So for example, il voudrait travailler dans un bureau. He would like to work in an office. And voudrait spelled V-O-U-D-R-A-I-T. Qu'est-ce qui est le plus important pour vous dans le domaine du travail? What is the most important to you in the world of work? So you can begin with pour moi, or you could say selon moi. Le plus important est, and here we've got 4 ideas, but you could easily pick up a dictionary and come up with 4 additional ideas. Top left, de gagner beaucoup d'argent, to earn lots of money. D'aider les gens, to help people. De voyager, to travel. Or le prestige, recognition. So a lot of those ideas are repeated from the previous slide. It'd be nice to see what you can come up with. You could also change this positive slide to a more negative slide and say, for me, the least important is, in which case you would change le plus to le moins, M-O-I-N-S. Pause the slide and try and write a few ideas down. Have you got any ideas yet? What matters to you the most? Can you link everything together and give reasons as to why you intend to do something? So the keywords here, right in the middle of the slide, in the orange boxes, car and parce que, essential words to provide justification. So we've got a box here going from left to right to help you structure your sentences. So for example, in green, let's start with the green. J'ai l'intention de travailler dans l'informatique parce que j'adore les ordinateurs. I intend to work in IT because I love computers. Then in the blue, the extension here is drawing your attention to the fact that you should really be using this as a chance to include future in your work. The futur simple is by far the easiest of tenses because it's the verb to go, followed by any verb you wish to use as long as it is in the infinitive. So as long as you're talking about yourself, you're going to stick with je vais all of the time. No changes to that. But obviously, you might switch to different subjects if you want to start either including other people or talking about others. And you know the verb to go is referred to in class very often. And I talk about that YouTube song where you can type in aller song and it comes up with that lovely melody which sticks in your head forever. And once you know this melody, you know your future tense. I'm not even going to attempt to sing it, but I know you know the one I mean. So if you look at the right boxes now, right at the bottom of the side, we've got a time indicator to begin with, plus tard. Then a verb to show intention, je voudrais être professeur parce que, and then you could say c'est utile, it's useful. Okay, so you can mix and match any one of those options in the boxes as long as you stick to the structure. Start from the left, don't miss the box, and take it all the way to the end. Think of balancing your work with both positives and negatives, please. And here, in the blue, it was the box where we're focusing on the future. Now you will see added in black is a different type of future. So in white, we were looking at the going to future, which is, I said, by far the easiest of all tenses. But then now in black, you've got a different type of future, which is the will future. The basic rule for the will future is not very difficult because all it is, if you look at the top black one, je travaillerai, is the full verb in the infinitive. Don't drop anything and then add ai as long as you're talking about je, I. However, the biggest issue with this will future is that there are so many exceptions to it. Whereas with the je vais future, there are no exceptions at all. So if you look at the two bottom ones in black, you will see both of those, I will sell and I will be, are look a bit random because you can see the full infinitive is no longer in place. With je vendrai, we've had to drop the E because it would have clashed here with the E followed by an A. And then the verb to be, you know, is a really common irregular verb in many tenses, and here it's completely unrecognizable really. From être, you have to change it completely to serait. So this is just one I'm afraid you will just have to learn. But a reminder, the will future in its basic rule is not hard if you look at the top one. Full infinitive plus AI. Moving on. So what did we learn today? And as a result, what are you able to do? You should by now be able to give some personal information about yourself. You need to remember, in a job interview, you're meant to be selling yourself. A reminder, what we particularly like to hear and see in your written work is the use of quantifiers. Say, how smart are you? How motivated are you? So use all of those quantifiers and use connectors also to add some information. Obviously, this was a fantastic opportunity to include future intentions in your work. We looked at two different future tenses, the going to future and the will future, and also expressions to express future without actually using the future tense. And finally, what aspects of jobs do you particularly like? What matters the most to you when you select a job for a future career? So have a little think about how much progress you've made. Feel free to revisit whenever you need to. Thank you very much, Year 10. Here's a final little exercise for you to complete. It's all in the target language, with the final question even being in the target language. So I'm deliberately going to refrain from doing any translation into English. Try and work it out, and this will be it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Au revoir.